Hi, everybody. Catie Harris here from Philly Wellness Center, and we're talking about high cholesterol. So, high cholesterol isn't what you think. So, we're going to talk about the great lipid myth. I want to spend a lot of time and different videos on this topic because it's really important. So, high cholesterol, these are the two words that strike fear into millions of people, and for good reason, because we've been told that high cholesterol is causing clogged arteries and heart attacks, and there's billions of dollars spent on statins to lower cholesterol. But here's the problem. High cholesterol doesn't mean what you think it does. And in fact, the entire cholesterol story that you've been told is based on outdated, oversimplified, and in many cases, just flat out wrong science. So today I want to break down why high cholesterol isn't the problem you've been led to believe it is and what you really need to worry about. So the For decades, the medical system has painted cholesterol as the villain, right? Total cholesterol over 200. Oh my God, that's so dangerous. LDL, that's the bad guy. We even call it the bad cholesterol, which is a little weird and crazy. But the truth is, cholesterol itself doesn't cause disease. Cholesterol is actually one of the most essential substances in your body. Every cell in your body contains cholesterol. Without it, you literally cannot survive. If you have no cholesterol, you just die. Why? Because the cholesterol, your cell membranes are made up of cholesterol. So you have to have cholesterol, and there's a certain level of cholesterol that you need for cellular functioning. So where did this idea that cholesterol is bad, where did this story come from? I mean, it came from a time when we didn't really understand the complexity of lipids. We saw cholesterol in arterial plaques and assumed it must be the cause, but just because cholesterol is at the scene of the crime doesn't mean that it's the criminal, right? So the real culprit, the real danger isn't high cholesterol, it's damaged cholesterol. And there's a very distinct difference about this. So when LDLs become oxidized, they turn sticky, inflammatory, and destructive, and that gets trapped in your arteries. But if your LDL is healthy, functional, and protected from oxidative stress, it's not dangerous, it's actually vital. So instead of asking, how high is my cholesterol? The better question is, what's happening to my cholesterol once it's in the body? So, you know, the in the oxidative process, and you see that here, the oxidation is a chemical process that happens just like rust on a car or rust on any type of metal object. That is an oxidation, and that's exactly what happens in the body when you have, let's say, you eat a lot of seed oils or vegetable oils or um, artificial preservatives and that kind of stuff, additives that they add into foods, chemicals that sprayed on our foods. These types of things cause oxidation in the body and they oxidize the LDL particles. So this is where most lab fails us, right? So your provider is probably looking at three things: total cholesterol, LDL, and HDL. But those numbers are crude and misleading. They don't tell you how oxidized your LDL particles are, right? They don't tell you if your HDL is actually functional. And they don't tell us whether your triglycerides are too high, signaling metabolic dysfunction. So you could have high cholesterol on paper, but if your triglycerides are low and your LDL is functional and your LDL isn't oxidized, you might actually be in excellent cardiovascular health. And I've had that happen over and over again, where I've had patients come in and they're being pressured to go on a statin. And, that's not actually the answer because the cholesterol, it's telling us something. It's telling us something really, really important. When cells, when the liver is making a lot of cholesterol, it's because there's some sort of inflammatory process going on. Think of it like an analogy with a car, right? So let's say you have a car and the tailpipe is spewing out black smoke. Well, what are we going to do about this? The logical thing should be is, why is the car spewing out black smoke, right? So if you think of black smoke as the biomarker, um, the answer isn't to just, hey, why don't we just plug it up, right? And then the black smoke stops coming out of the tailpipe. That's what statins are doing. So we're reacting to a biomarker that is trying to tell us something of what's going on in the body. And we say, okay, well, we don't want to hear this information. So what we're going to do is just block cholesterol. And now it's not telling us what we need to know. But you haven't changed anything because cholesterol is not the problem. Cholesterol is responding to a problem, just like the black smoke coming out of the car isn't the actual problem. The problem is it could be bad fuel, right? So maybe we need to change the type of fuel we're putting into the car. Maybe you're putting diesel in a car that doesn't use diesel. Whatever the case may be, that black smoke is coming from residue that's being generated because we're using bad fuel. So if you just plug up the tailpipe, you stop the black smoke, but it doesn't mean the black smoke isn't being created. It's still being created. It's just being diverted. It's going somewhere else, right? So the biomarker is going to show up in another number, another problem, another issue. And you see that with all the side effects that you get when you're on statins. And generally, people that have really low cholesterol don't actually feel better. The people that look and feel the best have a cholesterol level around 200 to 240. That it done in population-based studies is the absolute best place that you want to be. So, the great lipid myth here is, this idea that lowering cholesterol automatically lowers your risk. And pharmaceutical companies have built billion-dollar industries selling drugs that lower cholesterol. And guess what? They absolutely work. They work beautifully. But what you should be asking is, why do I want to lower my cholesterol? Like, why? Because your cholesterol is a precursor to testosterone, to estrogen, to cortisol production, to vitamin D production, to CoQ10 production. It supplies all the cells, the cell membrane. If you don't have a fully functioning cell membrane, now you get oxidative stress. So why would you want to block that, right? It's killing the messenger just because they're telling us something is going on. So lowering the number doesn't actually fix the problem. In fact, aggressively lowering cholesterol with statins can reduce hormones, damage mitochondria, and strip you of your body of your resilience. So now you're more susceptible, and this has been shown over and over and over for 50 years in studies that low cholesterol is correlated with increasing rates of cancer. All right, so the truth is cholesterol is only dangerous when it's dysfunctional and really low, like under 180. So high cholesterol in the right context might be protective, especially as you age. And even people with familial hypercholesteremia, when their LDLs are up in like 200s, 300s, their cholesterol is 400, 500, they have better mortality rates than people with a cholesterol rate of 120. So first thing you want to do is stop obsessing over your total cholesterol level. So that number is meaningless. It's telling us a story about your body. And it's saying you need to look deeper and look at more things than just cholesterol. So it is signaling that there's an issue, right? When you have a cholesterol at 300, there's some sort of issue going on here that we need to talk about. And that's what we need to be exploring. So you want to check your triglyceride to HDL levels because that's one of the best predictors of cardiovascular health. You want to assess for oxidative stress markers and inflammation because that's what's causing the cholesterol to go up in the first place, right? It's responding. Cholesterol is a first responder, so you don't shoot the first responders when they show up, or you want them to come help. And if possible, explore functional lipid testing. So there's some specialized tests that look at lipid testing. So I look at not only cholesterol, but the three things that our membranes are actually made up of, which the main three things anyway, which are cholesterol, phosphatidylcholine, and plasmalogens. So if you want to know what your cell membranes look like, and you should, because that is basically the house of your cell, and you've got 37 trillion cells. And if you don't have good cellular membranes, you're going to have all kinds of problems. Mold can attack your cell membranes. And when your cell membranes get attacked, then your mitochondria become dysfunctional. Then you have brain fog and fatigue. It's just this litany of things that start happening once the membrane starts breaking down. And if you're blocking cholesterol from supporting cell membrane, that's the path you're on. So, and finally, support the body with antioxidants because oxidative stress is the problem. So you need antioxidants. You need to get rid of the oxidative stress. We need to remove the stressor. You need proper nutrition, vitamins and minerals. They get dismissed a lot by mainstream medicine, but guess what? Your body is actually, it makes up the physical matter of your body, right? So while you're not going to die if you don't have a statin, you will die if you don't have vitamin B, vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin K, like vitamin E. Like if you have negligible to no levels of these vitamins and the minerals of your body, you will die or have serious disease manifestations. So, I mean, you tell me if vitamins and minerals are important or if they're just expensive, pills to take. So if your body needs these and it's not getting it from the food sources that we have, because you simply can't eat enough on a daily basis to get all the vitamins and minerals you need, that becomes another problem. So here is, ultimately the bottom line. High cholesterol isn't what you think. It's not the villain. It's the context, the oxidation, and the dysfunction that matter the most. And at Philly Wellness Center, that's what we do. We look beyond the numbers to get to the root cause so your cholesterol can support your health and not sabotage it. So if you found this video eye-opening, or you're confused because you're like, oh my gosh, everything I know about cholesterol, what I thought I was doing all these things right, is now being rocked because this is information that you haven't heard before, but it's been around for 50 years. So I'm not sure why we're not hearing about this before, but it's really, really important to understand the root cause of the issues. Your cholesterol can support your health. It doesn't sabotage it. It is a biomarker that tells you what is going on and where you are. It's not a substance that we want to manipulate. It's a substance that we want to respond to in different ways other than trying to control cholesterol. So if you found this eye-opening, hit subscribe for more truth bombs about health and aging. We're going to talk about a lot about cholesterol and, kind of get it all out on the table. And I'll see you in the next video.